Oh, honestly unbalanced.
Hello everyone in the audience, thank you for joining us this morning, on this early Saturday morning, and most importantly, thank you so much to Andy for joining us here today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Andy. I would love to start. I was doing a bit of Instagram stalking, as I do before chatting to all the guests, and I'd love to start by reading one of your beautiful posts recently, just a part of it. You say that fear is an invitation and challenge is an education. Would you mind speaking a little bit to that?
Yeah. Our development happens outside of our comfort zone, right? And our comfort zone often isn't actually uncomfortable. And we see fear as something to be frightened of, right? It's like the primary emotion that gets programmed into us in utero, and then our brains are wired for survival. So anything that is new, anything that is different, anything that that we don't understand immediately, the brain assumes is going to be a threat. And so we create stories we identify with previous experiences, and it makes us think that, oh, if I'm feeling scared, or if I'm feeling fear, if I don't know what I'm doing, if I have doubt, if I feel insecure, it must mean that there's something wrong with this. I can't do it, or I should stop. And that's not necessarily the truth.
I actually heard something once on a podcast which was brilliant, and they said that if you feel fear, often it's actually, I think you even said it in your post, it's a sign that you're going in the right direction sometimes. But how do you sort of differentiate then when it's fear as in this is actually the right direction for me, or your intuition saying actually no, this is probably not the right thing for me?
That's a great question. I mean, ego and intuition are two different things, right? And intuition is something that when we tap into, there's a calmness in the nervous system.
That's nice.
So we're regulated. And it's like, no, in every cell of my body, this feels like a hard no. So it feels like a boundary that we want to set. We're like, no, actually, I don't want to do that. With fear, there may be more sympathetic arousal. We may have more overthinking. We may have more doubt. Should I do this? What if? How? Those kind of things might crop up. Right?
Can you give an example of maybe when you felt that you were in resistance and fear, and then you realised, oh, actually, maybe I need to, find a way to overcome this? Was there a moment, and how did you overcome this moment?
Gosh, I mean, this is like a regular thing for me, right?
As it is for probably most people.
I'd say I'm part of a men's mastermind. And whenever there is something going on in my life where I don't feel comfortable about how I'm handling it, or if I'm overthinking, or if I'm worried, sharing it with other men is always something that terrifies the bejesus out of me. But I also know that when I do that, they'll listen, and then someone else will probably say, oh yeah, I've had that experience. So I would say, as a man, sharing something that feels edgy, whether it's in conversation with my partner Rach or other men, something like that would probably be something where I'd traditionally want to kind of edge away from doing it. But actually now I understand that fear really is a green light. It's an invitation to step forwards into growth.
And I know that you're a heavy meditation practitioner and teacher as well. How do you feel that meditation has played a part in helping you to overcome life's challenges?
You know what? I think it's the reminder just to come back to something tangible. And Adam and I had one of the same teachers, Michael Stone.
Yes.
So a lot of the work that he did, certainly in his trainings, was really about anchoring into a physical sensation. And when this, right? When we're in our head, you were talking about this in your session yesterday. When we're in our heads, there's so much going on, but when we drop into the body, there's so much wisdom in our bodies. That's really where we can regulate our nervous system. We can learn to feel safe. We can actually feel safe. So meditation, the art of being present in the body, particularly when there's an anchor in the body, that's really helped me. That helped the racing mind. That helped, anxiety, depression, all of the stuff that used to really keep me awake at night.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And coming back to, why do you think men struggle so much to voice how they're feeling? I know this is the work that you do in the world now.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges for men in modern day society, and why is it so hard for them to speak up?
I think it's got a lot to do with, there's cultural stuff, there's environmental stuff, there's this unspoken thing that we need to just kind of get on with things and carry on. But also, if you think about ancestrally, if we look at this idea of ancestral trauma, you go back 3 or 4 generations, you've had like 2 world wars, you've had recessions afterwards, so there's been constant survival where, our great grandparents and their parents, it was like, there's not enough food, are we going to die, the family's separated, let's just get on with it. So I feel like that's had a big certainly in this country, that's had a big impact generationally in just get on with it. And also, culturally as well, I think things are definitely shifting, but even for me, and the men that I work with and the different groups that I'm a part of, there still is this thing that being open or vulnerable, and vulnerable is a funny old word for men, but being vulnerable, it can feel weak, right? Because if you've had an experience when you were little of not having that attunement, not having nurture, not having validation or acknowledgement when you were little, then it's not going to feel safe for you to try that out. And particularly if, you're with a partner who has had similar experiences. So we've got all of this kind of unconscious conditioning flowing in our bodies and our nervous systems, in our relational patterns, then it's not going to feel safe, because you may feel like you're going to be attacked or rejected or abandoned or ridiculed, right? And totally. Underneath that is shame. If I am vulnerable, if I am really open and someone laughs at me or dismisses me or ridicules me, then it means there's something wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy.
Yeah. I think it's vulnerability is so interesting, isn't it? How, if you really think about it, it's something I was thinking about the other day, actually. If, being open with how you're feeling, crying, which is a completely human emotion for men and for women.
Yeah.
Why is it seen as a weakness, especially for men? It's just, it's a bizarre thing when you really think about it. And like you said, men don't feel like they can be open and cry and shed their tears because they feel they're going to be attacked or whatever. So, how do you sort of break through that then and reframe it?
I think the way to break through that is to model like a new version of healthy masculinity. Coming back to the work that I'm doing, and with some of the guys that I work with, they're ex-military, but they've been conditioned to, emotions are going to get them killed, it's going to get their mates killed on the battlefield, right?
Yeah, actually, so that's a good point.
They've been conditioned to be like that. So coming out of that, when healthy masculinity can be modeled, and you can reframe it, like it's a sign of strength that you can connect to what your experience is, and that it's safe for you to do that, because everybody else is like, I feel like this too, and actually I wish that I could get this stuff out because it's driving me mad. It's kind of affecting my relationship, it's affecting how I parent. When other men can see the power of releasing, then it does start to shift. But it's a process, right? It's a deconditioning process, a bit like human design, right? This idea of where we have to decondition ourselves, like that's what men have to do, I think, as well, and women obviously in this society.
And this is exactly what you're doing in the world today. So will you share a little bit about your program? Is it called I Am Man?
It's called the Man Program.
Sorry, I don't know why I keep getting it wrong. I Am Man. The Man. I knew it was something like strong. The Man.
Fire.
Tell us about the Man Program.
The Man Program. It's a program which launches in October, the 2nd of October. It's a 6-month mentorship and leadership training. It's a coaching and therapeutic program, and it's 10 men basically, and we take them through this journey. It's deep shadow work, it's psychological work. We have especially men's archetype coach. We have an ex-Scottish national judo champion teaching men about sacred rage and addiction. We have me with deep therapeutic coaching and shadow work. We have Rachel's going to be doing, she's a women's coach, so she'll be talking about women's challenges and trauma. And then we've got a sex and relationship psychotherapist. So we're covering every angle that a man needs, from body to relationships to childhood trauma, and we're going to be just helping them uncover all of the stuff that is sticky for them. But these men are already successful. You know, they're founders, they're running businesses, or they're busy professionals, and what they want is to feel like they're going to be the man that they want their children to look up to. You know, they want to be leaving a legacy. And my intention for the program and for the other facilitators is we want to train men to be really powerful mentors and leaders in their communities, in their families, in their workplaces, so that we're creating a change like that ripple by giving men the tools, the skills, so that they can just go out and be that kind of person, and then they can go and do that to other men. They can do that to their sons, to their brothers, to their fathers.
Sounds like exactly what the world needs at the moment. I'm so grateful to you for doing this work, honestly, because it's so, there's such a gap, I think, in the world for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so pleased that you're doing this work.
Thanks,
and
Holly.
Actually, something that came up was you hear this word or these words, toxic masculinity, come up a lot. And I heard this podcast the other day, and someone was saying, "Oh, there's no such thing. You can be like a toxic female as well."
Yeah.
But would you speak a little bit about what you think that is?
Yeah. I mean, I think words have different meaning for different people, right? Depending on their experience. So I think everyone has been harmed by emotionally immature masculinity and mentally, and I think we all have, right? Whether it's culturally, whether it's in our families, whether it's with partners, there is wounding as a result of that. But there's also wounding that's caused that, right? So I think unhealthy would be where I would go, but some people use the word toxic. The reason I don't like using the word toxic is because one of the things that I think is really, really powerful in a negative way is how we can carry unhealthy shame, you know, how we'll judge ourselves and how we can project that onto other people. And when we say that something's bad, it doesn't have a chance to be anything else. In our brains, we've like, that's what it is. And so that for me is why I don't use that word. But at the same time, I can understand that some people would probably, if they've got a high emotional charge because they've had an experience which was powerfully negative, if they've been abused or traumatized, then I can understand why, you know, if they haven't processed their stuff, why they would see it like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's all about childhood. I mean, you're a mum, right? You know, it is all about, you know, the most formative years, how we are taken care of, how we are, you know, the human beings need 5 things, right? We need to feel significant. We need a sense of belonging. We need empathy. We need acknowledgement. We need validation. From being a baby to our last breath, if we get that enough across our most formative years, as a brain and a nervous system are developing together, then we're going to have, you know, form healthy, secure attachments with people, and we're going to be able to model that to people. If that doesn't happen, and for many people that doesn't happen, then unconsciously we're dragging that stuff, that sense of not being good enough, or I need to be on my guard, or, you know, this person is a threat, or whatever it is, we're dragging that around with us. And then you add on to that other experiences, because of unconsciously we're drawing negative experiences to us because of our energy and our trauma and stuff. I can see why people would say, yes, it's toxic, but I would say it is more a result of generational trauma and a lot of people not ultimately dealing with their SH*T.
Thank you. That's such an interesting perspective. I think you're so right about saying toxic feels really static, like you can't change it.
Yeah, you're shaming someone,
it's
right?
It's so true. It's almost like it's come from someone that's had a really bad experience. They're like, oh, men are toxic,
yeah.
Which isn't the case. Everyone's got the ability to change, haven't they?
And we all have the ability to be, incredible people, like beings of love and compassion, and we have the ability to be dickheads as well. We all do.
We all have that within us.
Yeah.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know, it's like if we haven't eaten, if we've slept really badly, you know, we're going to be cranky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's how we receive that, you know, how somebody else receives that and what they're going through, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh, Andy, it's been so wonderful to chat. Where can people find you this weekend? Are you teaching again?
I am. So I'm doing a nervous system reset in the Just Breathe tent at 11, and then I'm doing a men's workshop, Inner Warrior. Connect to your inner rage and anger at 5 p.m. in the Just Breathe tent. And if people want to find out more about the Man Program, you can go to manprogram.co.uk or on Instagram, the Man Program.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank
your
you,
personal
Holly.
Instagram is
Andy J. Nathan.
Andy J. Nathan. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you,
and
Holly.
I'll see you at the weekend sometime. Thank you.
Honestly unbalanced.